What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Kangaroo Black coming back once again. It is game week, and Friday night we got two awesome games, so we're going to preview those games. Georgia Tech at Colorado, 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN, and we got a SEC team playing on Friday night, the Auburn Tigers versus the Baylor Bears, 8 p.m. Eastern on Fox. So those two games will be going on at the same time. And guess what? I'll be watching both of them at the same time. So let's go ahead and get into it. First game I want to talk about is Georgia Tech and Colorado. Let's talk about Colorado first. Colorado, basically a whole new team. A team full of transfers. Head coach Deion Sanders. Colorado, they had a successful season last year, going 9-4. You know, surprised everybody. Probably except for themselves. But anyway, 9-4 overall, 7-3 in the Big 12. Now, this season, I think Colorado, they fall off a little bit. I don't care how many NFL or ex-NFL players that Deion bring in to be a coach. I think they will not be as good as they were last season. First thing they need to fix, in which I doubt they fixed, is that offensive line. Because no matter who their quarterback will be, they will be running for their lives just like Shedeur Sanders did his last 2 years. And if you look at it, now Colorado, they beat some good teams last year. All right, the defense wasn't giving up a whole lot of points in their wins. But in all of their losses, they gave up at least 28 points. At least they gave up 28 points in one of their losses one time. The rest of the times they gave up over 30 points. Okay, so they got to clean that up. But they didn't give up too many points for the most part, you know, during the season. The defense was kind of consistent. All right. But that offense, the offensive line was freaking terrible. All right. They done lost Shedeur Sanders. He ain't the quarterback no more. They lost their best player, Travis Hunter. He was the best player on the offense and the defense. So ain't no replacing him. I'm going to tell you that right now. Whoever is the cornerback, taking his place as cornerback and wide receiver, will not be as good as Travis Hunter. They also lost another wide receiver, Jimmy Horn Jr., who contributed a lot to that offense. So they going to fall off, I'm telling you. And you look at their you look at Colorado's depth chart. All right? On the offensive side of the ball, they got 7 first-year starters, all transfers on the offensive side of the ball. Then at quarterback, you got a transfer. They got true freshman Julian Lewis as the backup. I don't care which one of them start, Caden Salter or Julian Lewis. Caden Salter is the transfer. I don't care. But if they start him, he's going to be running for his life. I'm going to tell you that right now. Caden Salter, he threw for 1,800 yards last season, 15 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Okay. I don't know how many games he played in, but 1,800 yards as a starting quarterback ain't good. But anyway, he had a 56.3% completion rate. That is not good for a quarterback. All right. So we'll see what kind of quarterback he'll be for Colorado. But I'm telling you, he's going to be running for his life. Julian Lewis, true freshman, he want to start. He'll be running for his life because it's a proven fact that Colorado's offensive lines is terrible. And I think they'll be terrible in 2025. Just my opinion. They daggone wide receiver core won't be as good as it was last year. They got Omarion Miller. He was there last year. I believe he contributed a little bit last season. And they got Draylon Miller also. Then they got a transfer, Sincere Brown. No, they won't be as good as Travis Hunter and Jimmy Horn Jr. No, they will not be. All right. But the defensive side of the ball, it's pretty much intact. I think they got four guys that they had to replace on the defensive side of the ball last season. All of them transfers. Okay, so yeah. But the rest of the guys, the other 7 guys, they've been in this system. But you're going to see a totally different team for Colorado this season. And I don't think they're going to be as good as they was last year. All right. We won't know until the game is played. So I'm just going by really what Colorado lost, what we seen from them last year, how many transfers they done brought in. I keep saying that you can't build a winning team off transfers. You just can't. Okay, and ain't no way I'll go on record and say that Colorado will be a 9-4 team this year, because I don't think they will. Just my opinion. All right, let's talk a little bit about these Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Okay, Georgia Tech, I think they coming off a 7-6 season. I thought Georgia Tech was a pretty good team last year. All right, they lost some games that I feel like they should have won. Okay, if you look at Georgia Tech, man, they started out. What did they start out? 2-3 their first 5 games. Well, 3-2. 3-2 their first 5 games. So they had games. Look, man, I'm gonna tell you about Georgia Tech. They lost to Virginia Tech. Then they beat Miami. Then they took Georgia into 8 overtimes. Then they lose to Vanderbilt. They wasn't consistent. That's all that was. You take Georgia, the SEC champion, into 8 overtime, and then you lose to Vanderbilt. You lose to a bad Virginia Tech team, and then you beat Miami. If they can be consistent in the win column, they'll be all right. Stop losing to teams that you shouldn't lose to. Now, I know y'all going to say my Alabama Crimson Tide did the same thing. Facts. But we ain't talking about them yet. But anyway, I think Virginia Tech going to be a much improved team this year. I do. I really do. They got quarterback Haynes King coming back. And I'm a fan of Haynes King, man. Dual threat quarterback. He gave them Georgia Bulldogs hell. And this offense from last season really remains intact. They only got two people who wasn't in this system last season coming on this offense through the transfer portal. A right tackle and one of the wide receivers, Eric Rivers. He's the only transfer besides the left tackle on this roster as far as the offense. So I think this offense is going to be pretty good. I think this offense is going to be able to put up points. Now on the defensive side of the ball, it pretty much remains intact. All right, they replaced some people through the transfer portal, just like Colorado. Colorado got 7 people returning to that defense who's been in that system. Georgia Tech got seven guys returning who's been in that system. They replacing defensive end, nose tackle, Malin Braden. He's a transfer. They call that the rush. And then they got Jay Gilmore. They call that, what the hell is that? Anyway, I don't know. He a defensive back. I'll just say that. But anyway, I don't know how they naming they people the NB and the rush. I guess the rush is a linebacker. I'm not really sure. But anyway, they got most of the guys from the defense coming back, or guys who's been in this system. As I said, defensive end, defensive tackle, the rush, and the NB, whatever the fuck that is. That's the guys that's transfers on the defensive side of the ball. But this Georgia Tech team is going to be a good team. They're going to be able to put up points. And if I look at it from last season, they was able to put up points, 35, 31, 59. You know, another 41-point game, another 30-point game. They put up 42 on Georgia in a loss. You know, so they can put up points, and the offense remains intact. So I got more confidence in Georgia Tech than I do Colorado, and that is a fact. And therefore, I'm picking Georgia Tech to beat Colorado. As I said, I can't. The nickelback, that's what the NB is. Nickelback, defensive back. Okay, I don't like, what the fuck is the NB? Nickelback. Okay, that's fine, but I don't know what the hell the rush is. I think that's an edge rush or a linebacker, but that's what they call it. So the nickelback, he's a transfer. But anyway, I'm picking Georgia Tech to beat. I'm picking Georgia Tech to go on the road and beat Colorado. I can't put a score on it. No game has been played, so I'm not going to even attempt to put a score on these first game for week 1 game. I'm not going to put a score on it because no games has been played. You don't know what you got, and that's including my Alabama Crimson Tide. So until starting week 2, I will predict the score. But for week 1, I won't. I'm going to just tell you who I think will win. All right. And I think Georgia Tech will beat Colorado. Okay, next game, you got the Auburn Tigers going on the road to take on the Baylor Bears. All right, we're going to talk about these Baylor Bears first. The Baylor Bears, they coming off an 8-5 season. Now the Baylor Bears, they started off the season, last season, 2024, 2-4. And then they reeled off 6 straight wins to end the daggone season. And then they lost the bowl game to LSU. How good would this offense be? I think the offense will be pretty good. It's pretty much intact. Now the defense, I don't know, because the defense gave up a lot of points last season. They gave up 38 points in a loss to Colorado. They gave up 34 points in a loss to BYU. They gave up 43 points in a loss to Iowa State, and that was 3 weeks in a row. Even though they beat Texas Tech, they gave up 35 points. They beat TCU. They gave up 34 points. They beat West Virginia. They gave up 35 points. In a loss to LSU, they gave up 44 points. So that's a lot of points they was giving up. So this defense got to get better. Now the defense, they are replacing some guys. They brought in 4 transfers on the defensive side of the ball. Nose tackle, 2 linebackers, and 3 linebackers. So the linebacker core is pretty new. New faces in the linebacker core. So we're going to see how all that work out. All right, but as far as the secondary, they pretty much intact. But they got to be better than they was last season. Now there's offense. This offense is pretty, I think they're going to be pretty good. I think they're going to be able to put up points. Like I said, going back to last season, they put up 45 points in the first game, 31 against Air Force. Even in a loss, they put up 31 points, 28 points, 21 points. They put up 59 points, 38-point game, 37-point game, 49-point game. Come on, man. Another 45-point game. So they can score. And you got a lot of the same people or players that's been in this system last year. So I think this offense can score. This quarterback, Bryson Washington, he threw for over 3,000 yards last season, 28 touchdowns, and I think only 5 interceptions or something like that. You got wide receiver Ashton Hawkins. He caught, I think, 500-something yards. Had 500-something yards receiving last year with like 5 or 6 touchdowns. And then you got Josh Cameron. He had like 700-something yards last season and 10 touchdowns. Then you got, the quarterback Sawyer Robertson. He threw for over 3,000 yards and 28 touchdowns to like 5 interceptions. Your running back is Bryson Washington. He had over 1,000 yards rushing with, I think, 12 touchdowns. So you got a quarterback who can air it out. You got a running back who can run it, 1,000-yard rusher. You got 2 pretty decent wide receivers. Your offensive line is pretty good. So I think this offense for Baylor will be pretty good. As I said, the defense is going to have to get better. And that is fact. That is fact. So, but I think Baylor going to be pretty good this season. So, do I think they'll do better than they did last season, 8-5? I really don't know. I really don't know. But can they compete with Auburn? Yeah, they can compete with Auburn. I think so. Matter of fact, let's talk about these Auburn Tigers. Auburn Tigers, Hugh Freeze, coming off a bad season. I believe Auburn went, 5-7 last year? It was terrible. Yeah, they went 5-7. Now, Auburn, dang. But it looked bad, man. They're going to have to put up more points if they expect to win more games. Man, in your losses, you put up 14 points against Cal, 14 points against Arkansas, and they was terrible. You put up 21 against Oklahoma. You put up 13 against Georgia, 17 against Missouri, 7 points against Vanderbilt. You got to do better. That offense got to do better than that. if they expect to be better than they was last season. I'm going to tell you that right now. Man, that's terrible. That is terrible. Defense, I think the defense is all right, man. The defense, man, in a loss, they only gave up 21 points. In a loss to Arkansas, they only gave up 24. They gave up 27 to Oklahoma. They gave up 31 to Georgia, though. A loss to Missouri, they only gave up 21. And a loss to Vanderbilt, they only gave up 17. So they ain't giving up too many points. The offense just couldn't score last year. And I think this defense is going to be pretty good again for these Auburn Tigers this year. And guess what? Everybody you bringing back on defense, Auburn, was in this system last year. So that's the reason I think this defense is going to be pretty good. Now there's offense. You bringing in 5 transfers on the offense, right? 2 wide receivers, left tackle, right tackle, and your quarterback. Now Jackson Arnold, that offense is going to live or die with Jackson Arnold. I know it's been said that Auburn going to come into this game 1 against Baylor, playing 3 quarterbacks. I hope y'all don't do that. I hope y'all don't do that. Not 3. I understand trying to decide between 2, but 3, that's just too damn many. You got Jackson Arnold, Ashton Daniels, and Deuce Knight. And Ashton Daniels ain't a good quarterback. As I said before, this man got 21 touchdowns and 20 interceptions throughout his career. Y'all don't want that. Y'all don't want that. All right. Your wide receiver. I mean, you got what? We're going to talk about Damari Ashton, your running back. All right. I think this is going to be his first year start. He got 3 touchdowns through his career. I believe was he a dang on, he's a senior. And he ain't got 3 touchdowns. So this is going to be his first year start. So y'all might have to work out what's going on in y'all running back room. Now, wide receiver Cam Coleman, he's going to be X factor in that wide receiver core. I'm going to tell you that now. Then you bring in Horatio Fields, all right, as a transfer wide receiver. He coming from Wake Forest, 463 yards, 4 touchdowns. Maybe he'll be a contributor too. I think he will. Another wide receiver, Eric Singleton Jr., transfer. All right. Will he be a great contributor? Maybe so. But I think he what did he transfer from? What did Eric Singleton transfer from? I forget. But I think he had about 500 something yards receiving last year, 600 something yards. I don't freaking know. But ain't neither one of them better than Cam Coleman. I know that for a fact. So Auburn, your defense going to be pretty good. Your offense is a big-ass question mark. Jackson Dart is a big-ass question mark. So, hey, it is what it is. He transferred from Georgia Tech. And matter of fact, he had 754 yards and 3 touchdowns for Georgia Tech. And he is a junior. So, we'll see how these 2 guys work out. I think they'll be contributors. But neither one of them will be better than Cam Coleman, in my opinion. All right. Jackson Dart, he got him some receiving now. I give him a pass for last year, for not being able to perform at Oklahoma because of not Jackson Dart, Jackson Arnold. I keep saying Jackson Dart, but I'm talking about Jackson Arnold. Y'all know who I'm talking about. But anyway, I'm giving him a pass from his Oklahoma days because his daggone wide receivers was injured last season. All his starting wide receivers. Well, they won't be that way this year unless it happens, throughout the season. But I think he'll be a better quarterback with Auburn than he was at Oklahoma last year. But anyway, who I'm gonna pick to win this game, man? I sure don't want Auburn to win. I ain't lying. I don't want Auburn to win. But Auburn gonna have a pretty good defense, and I think Baylor gonna have a pretty good offense. So this one is up in the air for me. But I sure don't want Auburn to win this game. I don't never want Auburn to win nothing. I mean absolutely nothing. So, man, I'm going to just say it like this. Defense wins games. And Auburn seem to have a pretty good defense. They going back to last season, and the offense just couldn't do nothing. I think they'll be better on offense this year. Baylor, pretty good offense. But they was giving up a lot of points. All right, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to go with Auburn to win, to go into Waco. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Auburn going on the road. Okay, so I'm picking Baylor. I'm picking Baylor to beat Auburn simply because Baylor is at home. I'll do this simply just because it's a road game for Auburn. I'm picking Baylor. Now, I'm not 100% sure. I'm not confident in that pick. I'm going to tell you that now. So, plus, I just don't like Auburn. And y'all know this. So, I'm going to pick Baylor to beat Auburn at home. All right? And I'm picking Georgia Tech to beat Colorado on the road. There you have it. Y'all let me know what y'all think about my picks. And, it is what it is. May the best team win. That's all I could say. It's game one. It's hard to pick these games, in week one. So, with that being said, y'all be blessed. And remember, KB don't give a piss about nothing but the Tide. And roll damn Tide.